What's up, guys? This is Acrillix, and I'm here to give a review of Resident Evil 9 Requiem. This is not my first RE game. I am not an OG fan. I do want to put that out there. Um, I have played many of the Resident Evil games, but not all of them, and not even all the mainline games. I've played a lot of them though, so I want to kind of just give a review of RE9, um, which I think is the first RE game I played at launch. The other ones I played much later. So this was developed by Capcom, and the engine they used is the RE engine. It's available on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and Nintendo Switch 2. It was released on February 27th, 2026. And Metacritic, it has an 89 out of 100 for PS5, and it's the best reviewed mainline Resident Evil game since Resident Evil 4 in 2005. The average playtime. Now, this is interesting. I think a lot of us are really tired of the 100-hour open world, side quests filled, long slogs that AAA tends to be nowadays. The average playtime is actually only about 10 hours on your first playthrough, and it can actually be cut down quite a bit on your second and third run if you do decide to do it again. Not counting if you are using hacks, or not hacks, but the sort of cheats that they put in the game that you can purchase, like unlimited ammo, which would speed up the game up by a lot. But in this game, we are playing as Grace Ashcroft, who is in this clip right here, who is a new character to the Resident Evil series. And we have returning, of course, is Leon Kennedy, which I know everyone kind of lost their mind over when they saw that. Okay, so for the intro here, I kind of want to just go over the Grace sections for my intro here. Resident Evil kind of has these two different types of horror that they like to do. And the first one is the survival horror. You have nothing, you are nothing, you are a nobody, and you are trying to survive. You have like limited ammo, you're scrounging. It's like bare bones survival. Like you are just trying to get through the section to get to the next section. Now Grace's gameplay is 100% survival, and then Leon is 100% RE4, basically. You are well more equipped to fight and try to win each battle, and you are not holding back. So, for the Graces section, you really are just trying to get to the next section, like I said, and I think this is actually where the game really struggles in the beginning. And I think it might just be because it's the beginning sections, and you're trying to learn what the story is about. You're trying to understand the backstory, why we're in this hotel, who Grace is, how is she connected to Leon, how is she connected to the Raccoon City incident, how is she related to Umbrella. How does this all tie in? And you're trying to figure that out. And she's an FBI analyst, which I think was an interesting choice because in one of the opening cinematics, where she is at the office of the FBI and her boss is sending her to the Renwood Hotel, which is this area that we're in this clip, to investigate this murder, it's a plot device. Okay, so it's purely a plot device to move the story forward, which is fine. But a lot of people I saw online were criticizing Capcom for choosing this because analysts don't go in the field generally. And if they do, it's with like a seasoned field agent. They would never go alone, basically. And I thought, yeah, that makes sense, but it's fine. Like it serves its purpose, I think, fine. So I'm not too concerned about that sort of issue. The thing I do want to talk about with Grace that did annoy me quite a bit is Grace struggles with mental health, and we know this because during the story we learn about her past, and there's actually a really, really specific reason I really don't want to spoil, so I'm not going to, but there is a specific thing that happens to her when she's a child that has to do with what is going on now. And because of this thing, this is how she is. This is what developed her into this person that she is now, that we're experiencing here in the first person. And so she has this severe anxiety. And so it's like, I do like that as a person who struggles with mental health and anxiety. I really do appreciate the sort of realism that they show here through Grace's mental health crisis that she kind of goes through during this story as she's facing all of these horrors. But sometimes it's a little much. She does this thing where she hyperventilates, and while that is realistic in the sense that that is a real thing that happens, it's kind of annoying. Because when she does, she stutters. And there's two parts to that. So there's the performance part where the voice actor is doing such a good job to sell what Grace is actually feeling and is conveying that and so well by causing this hyperventilating to cause the stutter. But it's so dramatic and it's so prevalent throughout the entire game that it kind of annoys me more than it does sell the character, in my opinion. But I know that some people will feel differently about that, but that's just kind of how I feel about it. I feel like they could have calmed that down a little bit and it might have been a little bit better, but that's kind of how I feel about that. But I kind of just want to talk about Grace section first here. So let's go to the next clip now. Okay, so here we are in the next clip. So this is taking place in the Rhodes Care Center. It's the first section of the game, and it's I have a lot of issues with the Rhodes Care Center. It's sort of like the Raccoon City Police Department. It feels like the whole entire game takes place in the Rhodes Care Center because it's so slow. And it's slow for a good reason, but I felt like it was too long. And I know that sounds weird given that the game's only 10 hours long. But the reason why is because you're constantly sneaking throughout the entire thing. You're constantly just trying to avoid combat, avoid the zombies, avoid enemies, that everything just takes so long, and you have to backtrack a lot, right? You have to go back and forth. The very limited inventory here. So you are, finding the thing you need and then realizing you don't have enough space. So then you have to go back to the crate and store a couple things and then go back, sneak back through all the sections you just got through so that you could have enough room because you found a bunch of loot along the way, whether it be ammo or whatnot. So you kind of have to backtrack a lot, which is okay, and it does nicely encourage you to take your time, and I do like that, but I just felt that it was a little too slow. It was actually kind of hard to get into the game for me in this section because it was so survival horror that it just took forever to go and do anything. And I actually had quite a bit of trouble figuring out where to go because it's the Rhodes Care Center is actually pretty small, but it's also big at the same time because it's so slow. It seems big, but it's really not. So I kind of got lost for a little bit, and I how to figure out how to get around. But another thing I really did like about, you know, the enemies in this game is the zombies actually kind of retain a part of who they were as a person before they turned into a zombie, which is really cool. I really appreciated that. So, for example, in this clip, we see there's a blind zombie. Now, he's blind because he's got bandages over his eyes, so he can't see. But he can hear, and he doesn't like noise. Now, it could be that this was a mental health patient, and, you know, this person suffered from, like, sensory issues, and so he's highly sensitive to sound. So if you throw a bottle, he'll go after it. Like you saw in the clip just now, I used the bracelet to unlock the door, and that activated him, sort of, and he went over there checking out. I have seen, you've probably seen some clips online about this guy being a one-hit kill for basically any enemy in the Rhodes Care Center, which is true, but I didn't know that at the time, so I didn't actually utilize him at all. Now I kind of wish I did. Okay, so let's go to the next clip. Okay, so I did feel like this game did a really good job at selling the horror aspect of Resident Evil. So for example, the gray sections, like I said, are very survival based. You know, you're trying to just get to the next section, and then the Leon sections are very combat oriented. And I think that the water treatment plant, which is this clip here, really exemplifies the strength of Capcom's ability to make you feel tense, to make you feel the pressure that the character is feeling. Like in this section, you're trying to activate all of these lights so that you can open, or all these levers, these power levers, so that you can activate the roof hatch to defeat the girl. And she does not like light, so you have to constantly, you know, run around to these little lamps and turn them on to stun her, basically, to be able to get to the next one, and requires positioning and tactic to get around her, and use of the Molotov cocktail to kind of stun her as well. And yeah, see, she can just nom you right up. So I felt like they did a really good job on selling the tenseness of the situation that you are in, and making you feel like you are Grace. Like your heart is pounding because you're like, oh my god, she's right there, she's right there, she's right there. Or she's in the ceiling and you can hear her scurrying around, and you're like, you know, your heart is beating fast because she could just drop out of the ceiling at any point, you know what I mean? So I feel like they did a great job there.
I should open the hatch.
Okay, so enough about Grace Ashcroft. Let's talk about Leon. So Leon comes back, and he's like 50 years old or whatever. You know, this entire story takes place 30 years after the nuke that hit Raccoon City. And Leon sections, like I had said previously, are all combat focused, and exploration focused. So you are not scrounging for ammo as much. You are still in some parts of it. You kind of are like, oh my god, I'm running out of ammo. But you're really not ammo starved like you were in previous games. This is very similar to RE4, where you just kind of have unlimited ammo in sort of a sense where you don't really need to be careful about what shots you take. You know, you're just trying to kill everything, basically. And in fact, they actually encourage you to do this once you reach Raccoon City in your first run. They actually encourage you to do this because you actually get a bracelet that tracks your kills, and you get credits for those kills, which you can use to upgrade your weapons and buy supplies and ammo and all that sort of stuff. So that was very well done. I really appreciated the fact that you kind of come in here, you know, you play half the game basically as Grace, as this scared woman who just, you know, who doesn't have combat experience, who just doesn't, you know, isn't able to handle it, basically. And then you come in as Leon, as the wrecking ball, and you just obliterate everything in your way. And he's not scared of nothing. Like this giant spider I'm fighting right now, he is not afraid at all. He is like, I'm gonna kill this thing, and, you know, to hell with it. So I really did appreciate that duality in the game setup here. But let's see. The boss fights with Leon are pretty good. They're a little underwhelming. Unfortunately, they went with the blisters, and I know this is really funny because I literally just talked about this in my High on Life 2 review, stating how glad I was that they didn't do that. Unfortunately, RE did do this, where they made every enemy have blisters, and you shoot the blisters and they die. I would have liked to see something different. It's not that I don't like the blister gameplay mechanic. It can be good in some cases, but I just feel like it's cheap, it's lazy. Like this spider, instead of having some sort of cool mechanic where you shoot off its legs or something like that, or drop something on it to kill it, or, you know, something environmental, you're just stunning it like here so that you can shoot the blister and kill it. So I really would have appreciated something different here, but I understand why they did it this way, so you know, I can give them a pass for it, but I would have liked to see something different. Alright, I'm already at 17 minutes. I said I was going to keep this under 15, so let's wrap this up. So I want to quickly talk about the visuals and PC performance. This is on a 7900 XTX. I'm using an Odyssey OLED G80 SD and a i7 14700K Ultra Quad. The visuals in this game is honestly probably the best looking game in 2026. I have no complaints, honestly. I had no issues. I had no performance issues that I really cared to talk about. There was no shimmering, there was no artifacting, there was no noise. This is using FSR 3.1, which I know I talked about in my High on Life 2 review as being very poorly implemented because of all the noise. Didn't have that problem here. I'm not sure what they did differently. I know RE Engine is super optimized, so I do appreciate that. Thank you, RE, for releasing a well optimized game. Honestly, you didn't even really need to use FSR 3.1. Native was actually very good as well. I just wanted to get a little bit more because I am running at 4K. Let's see. So let's see. What else can we talk about here? Let's talk about the audio real quick. So the audio is probably so good. I did have some issues. I have a 5.1 audio system. I use the SteelSeries Arena 9 5.1 PC speakers, USB-C, and I had some issues with the audio being sent to the wrong tracks. So center was being played on the rear, all audio is being played on the left, front. You know, it was kind of all over the place. I'm not sure if that was an engine issue, a codec issue, or just a routing issue with SteelSeries. But that is something just to know. If you have a 5.1 or 7.1 actual dedicated system, you may run into that. Virtual headphone probably won't have that issue. I did not test it on headphones because I just don't like wearing headphones if I can avoid it. So, yeah. Alright, so let's wrap this up. I don't really have much else to say about it. The verdict, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I think they've done something here that just sets it as way different from other AAA games that are currently on the market and currently being developed. We've felt kind of starved, honestly. a lot of games have been coming out and just being kind of mid, just being average, and unfortunately, in a highly competitive market like we have today, with Expedition 33 and Slay the Spire 2 and Pocopia and all these games that are silent killers, especially in the indie area, AAA has been kind of struggling. So I really appreciate here that Capcom really pulled out all the stops. They made such a great, fantastic game. Everything hits here. The gray sections, like I said, are probably the only sections that wasn't that I didn't like them. It was just too slow for me, where it just felt frustrating to play, clunky. But it made sense in world. Like in world, it makes sense. I just wanted a little bit more speed, a little bit more streamlined. There was a lot of backtracking that I didn't really like, even though traditionally I do like backtracking to be able to go back to a previous area and be like, wow, I'm a lot stronger now. You don't have that here because there's no like ability system, there's no perks, there's no leveling up or anything. So you go back as Grace, and you're not any more better off than you were before, except you might have a few more bullets. And there is one thing I did forget to mention about the beginning section there, which was you can kind of soft lock yourself into a bad position, and I did it to myself. I was able to get myself out of the situation, but if you play too hard, too like gun ho, if you try to kill things, if you try to, use your stuff too much, you will soft lock yourself into a position where it's kind of hard to get yourself out. And honestly, I was actually at the point to where I was thinking about just restarting the game completely, because I was like, wow, I don't know if I can get myself out of this. So I do want to mention that. But I would recommend this game. I would recommend this game at its full price. I think this game is absolutely warranted for the full price. And yeah, I mean, that's all I really got to say about it. This is a solid game. This is a great game, Capcom. Good job, honestly. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and thanks for watching.